If The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 2's Undead VR was basically exactly the same as the last game, just in a new location, I would be ecstatically happy. The original game just nailed that heart-in-the-mouth apocalypse vibe, where careful preparation and awareness were your two greatest weapons. That's because zombies don't really kill you here. What kills you are the choices you make. Things like not checking an area properly and getting jumped, or panicking and running into a horde, or forgetting to make sure your weapons aren't about to break or empty. I mean, the zombies will kill you in the end, but it's always directly linked to something you did. I've lost count of how many times I died in the original game because I dropped my gun in the chaos, or reached for an empty arrow quiver, or just didn't check a corner where loads of zombies were watching me obliviously creep up on a single enemy. For that reason alone, the original Saints and Sinners is one of my favourite games, period, VR or otherwise. Hence my excitement for this sequel. Although there's a little worry too, where the original focused on stealth and care as you explored the semi-open world where your choices and discoveries changed your playthrough, what I've seen of Retribution so far has been incredibly gun heavy. It looks fun but feels like quite a change. Guns generally were the last option in the previous game because of how the noise brought zombies literally pouring out of the woodwork. The Retribution gameplay so far is full of full auto gunfire and mowing down zombies in hails of endless bullets. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'd really like to see how this consequence-free gun action plays out in the wider game. Part of what made the original work so well was a huge sense of exposed vulnerability, something that doesn't quite come across while dual-wielding SMGs to hose down crowds of walkers. Developer Skydance Interactive is still emphasizing freedom of choice, however, and the ability to pick between stealth and guns, so I'm hoping the demo is just being played to look good. There's certainly a lot of interesting things to get excited about from the rest of what's been shown. There's far more front and center character driven focus this time, for example, after the last game did a lot of interactions via radio and notes. Here you'll meet more allies and enemies face to face, people like Sonny the Pawn King who runs a trading location, and a drunkard called Father Carter who you meet as part of a side mission. Then there's Garrick the Axeman, an armoured villain that seems to be pursuing the player while channeling a 19th century serial killer talked about in the first installment's lore. It looks like a lot of what the first game did is being fleshed out for Chapter 2 or expanded in some interesting ways. There's new crafting options and systems, for example, with new materials and resources to scavenge, and even new crafting benches adding to the 3 you had before for character upgrades, weapons and gear. There are new weapons like a submachine gun and sawn-off shotgun, a laser upgrade, as well as a very unsubtle chainsaw. Sonny's pawn shop also acts as a new mission hub to hang out in while you update tasks and trade for supplies, but no word on if you'll still be using the bus you called home as a base before. One of the biggest changes though has to be the option to go out at night. It used to be an absolute no-no, with a strict time limit to your days and an unstoppable zombie horde emerging to claim you if you stayed out too late. Now you can venture out into the nighttime on purpose to tackle entire hordes, taking on a big risk in pursuit of bigger rewards. And it looks horrifying, with swarms of undead lurching out of the darkness as you wave your flashlight around. The dead react to light too, making your torch as dangerous as it is useful, while items like flares can be used as distractions and lures. There also appears to be some much more interesting variations to levels and gameplay ideas this time around. At one point, while you're trying to break into a speakeasy for Father Carter, a switch which should open up a door also turns on the music system. Obviously noise is bad, so that sees you rushing around the club shooting all the speakers out to stop them attracting zombies. It's a clever little moment compared to the previous game, which focused mainly on situations more than set pieces. While I'm cautious of the action-heavy gameplay shown so far and how it affects the sense of threat and danger, I'm still incredibly excited for this. The original is hands down one of the best open-world zombie survival games so far, one where basic decisions like what weapons and supplies to take or where to scavenge have a real life or death weight to them, and you always end up dying because you pushed your luck. Always. While Skydance were terrible about answering any of my questions about things like the new crafting system gameplay or even the Axeman, I really hope this builds on the baseball bat waving desperate terror of the original, because it could be something incredible if it does.